passive income, it's not as accurate as some people think. I don't know how many people, I was just talking to a friend about this, who got into the Airbnb world because he thought he was going to have all this passive income, only to realize, wow, this is taking a lot of work to figure out Airbnb. This is not passive. Like, no, it's not. At some point it could be, depending on the systems you build. There are very few things that are totally technically passive, but you certainly can do things where assets are doing the heavy lifting and you're making more money than the hours you're putting in. Right? And that's really important. You want to get in the passive income class as fast as possible. You do that by taking your income, investing it in income producing assets that create cash flow. Once you have a certain level of cash flow, you can retire. Retirement is not an age, it's a mathematical equation. When your passive income exceeds your expenses based on the lifestyle you want, you can essentially retire, or at least choose when and how you want to work. So that is your formula. It is pretty straightforward, and really anyone can do it. The biggest separator in our society, in the world at large, is education, not opportunity. And I'm a huge fan of equal opportunity. I am not a big fan of forced equal outcome. That is not how we're going to create an equal world. We need to educate people and teach them how to use their dome, not do it for them.
Does this apply to like young people too? Because I'm thinking that young people, they don't really care. They're just like, oh, here, I'm gonna get this car, I'm gonna get this.
Because they're trained from kids to be consumers. In school, what matters? What sneakers I'm wearing, what clothes I'm wearing, what phone I'm using. Literally being indoctrinated from the time they can remember to be consumers, not producers. So no wonder they come out and their product is to consume. That isn't an accident, right? The whole capitalist model is based on consumerism. Capitalism only works if we have an infinite amount of growth. It needs to constantly grow in order to continue to feed. How do we know this? Every time we have a retraction in the economy, if it goes on for 2 quarters, we call that a recession. If it goes on for too long, we're in a depression. When people stop consuming. So the whole model is predicated on teaching people to consume, which has its limits because we have 8 billion plus people on Earth and we don't have an infinite amount of resources. In one sense we do, but in another sense we don't. And as a result of that, you're training people to constantly consume. They never think to produce. So yeah, maybe young people don't think about this because they've never been taught to think about it. This goes back to education. Education is really important. It's ironic to me. I spend most of my time coaching, even people who are worth $100 million at this point. Most of my time is spent coaching around the big 3. The big 3 is wealth, health, and relationships. Why the fuck did we spend 12 years in school and never learn how to have healthy relationships? How to be great with our money, how to take care of our body. We only get one per lifetime right now. You'd think we put a bigger priority in learning how to take care of it. And again, back to consumerism in the United States. Our health is depleting because we consume shitty food and we're okay doing it. It's alarming to me, the amount of food that we consume here and the kinds of food we consume here, that there are other countries that they won't even allow it into their country. It's illegal, right? Because they know it's unhealthy. We allow it here. And we wonder why we have incredible cases of obesity and we have heart disease and all of these physical ailments. It's like, yeah, because we're fucking up our environment and the food we eat. That's an education thing. And again, this goes back to consumerism. I'm generally a proponent of capitalism because I really don't see a better path forward yet, but I see the downsides to it. If everything becomes about profit, the human gets lost in that process. We need to create more of a conscious capitalism or a social capitalism where it's people and profit, not just one or the other. And it starts with our food system, which is absolutely fucked.
Well, now that you're saying that with food, what is that specifically?
We eat a lot of processed food in the United States, and we allow a lot of fillers into our foods that should not be there. Fillers are things that, to a percentage, we can add things that are considered benign or harmless or neutral to food, that acts as a filler so that you get more bang for your buck. So a food producer could add filler, 5%, I'm just gonna make this up, but this isn't too far from the truth, like cardboard box, shredded up cardboard box. They can put it in the food as long as it's under a particular level, as long as it doesn't change the taste too much, people won't notice, and it doesn't, cardboard box, which is a waste product, it's a filler that doesn't cost them as much as actually using real food product. That's just one example, but we do this a lot with like petroleum-based products. So we are an oil-consuming society for the most part, although that's beginning to diminish. What happens is in the refining process of creating gasoline, we have petroleum-based products that we don't need. So vitamin E is an example that's coming from oil or petroleum, not from natural we say organic or bioavailable sources. And that gets into makeup, that gets into our food stream, and they're finding ways like, well, this is just trash. We don't know what to do with it. So maybe we can put it in food or we can put it in makeup and no one will really know. And it's way cheaper than just using a whole food product. So a lot of processed foods aren't whole food products. They're putting other things in the product to stretch the amount of profit they're making, right? And so this is it. This is my frustration with the capitalist system as it stands. If everything is about profit at the cost of the human being, we're cutting off our nose to spite our face. And so I get why some are very frustrated with the capitalist system. And there needs to be change to become more conscious about people and profit, not one or the other. I just don't know a better system yet. Maybe we'll come up with one, but it will take a much more conscious human to have a better system than what we currently have.